This whole thing is like Zach being super mad at like YouTubers. That's all it is. It's like super mad at a certain breed of YouTuber that is just making clickbait content bullshit. That's all.
But this isn't his first time taking shots at YouTube or YouTubers. And like, was it 6 months ago, 8 months ago, he was criticizing the live streams?
Well, yeah, like he's like, I hate live streams, and I understood why he hates live streams, but to me, like the last like a few months of me hanging out with Zach, talking to Zach, because we used to talk every day in private, like through private messages. Every day we'd sort of take stock of things. And like he was getting more and more angry with me and saying that, like he'd say, I don't want to be the stuttering John Deere Howard Stern and all this stuff. I was like, I don't see you that way. Like, why do you think it, And then he'd come out and say things like, you're like a New Jersey carnival barker on the boardwalk. And it's like, Zach, I'm not a dummy, dude. I have a pretty high IQ. You know what I mean? And I'm very good at what I do. I'm an extraordinary talent. Why are you saying weird things about me like that? Like I'm nothing to worry about. Like, why? So there was that. And then finally he made this. I'm like, Zach, look, the reason I'm asking you to come on live streams is because your books aren't doing well, and they should be. Like, you know what I mean? Like, your book should be selling as well as mine. Your crowdfund should be raising as much money as mine are, but they're not because you're withdrawing from our audience. This is our audience. And he's just like, I don't want to do that. And I really feel like it was for a bunch of reasons. I understand, but he just kind of went nuts and made this video just sort of like, finally, like, I'm not coming on your live streams. I'm not going to do it. And I can't even remember what the video said, but I was like, all right, that's fine. Like, I'm through trying to help you, dude. You're going to do your own thing. I'm trying to help you out of the goodness of my heart, but he's saying a lot of things that like sound like he's been talking to the people who dislike me. There are people who say things like, why are you helping Ethan by going on his live streams?
Yeah.
Why how does this help me? Like, what do you mean? What, I can do this by myself. I don't need other people on it. I mean, you're on my live streams and I'm I appreciate it. We have a good rapport and stuff like that, but it's like mostly the way I see it is people need to get their books promoted, and I'm pretty good at promoting comics. So I'm going to promote your comics. Simple as that. I want ComicsGate as a whole to succeed. But that's an evil thing. Imagine like appealing to somebody's pride, like, in that way, and being like, you're stuttering John to his Howard Stern. Like, that's an embarrassing thing to say to someone, and it's an effective attack on somebody's pride. And Zach was hearing that and believing that and sort of internalizing that, when that's like, I didn't see him that way. I saw us as kind of like, I don't know, more like a funny duo or something like that. I don't know. But in any case, that's why that happened. And since then, he's been getting weirder and weirder. I think he's like paranoid that I'm trying to hurt his campaigns. I don't talk about Zach barely ever. I let Zach do his own thing. But
well, I mean, maybe I'm reading it wrong, but there for a while, you were bringing up his campaigns a lot, and he wasn't even coming on or anything. I mean, it's there. I don't remember what books they were, but it was a lot. You would bring them up. There were ninja launches, short campaigns you would bring up. I think maybe you criticized one for being so short. But
yeah, I criticize the way he launches his campaigns, but I always used to promote his campaigns anyway.
Yeah, but
like,
that's what I'm
like
saying.
Not,
yeah, you were promoting the campaigns, and yeah, but it's not like he's coming on. It's not like he's promoting your stuff either. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he used to. It was great.
Yeah. I know, used to. I mean, like, I'm around this time period you're talking about. It's kind of a weird area. I don't know. Maybe he's just going through some stuff.
Yeah, I really don't know. I have no idea. But it is what it is. I think the Mark Wade thing, I think people are right. The Mark Wade lawsuit really shook him up. And I think he like realized at some point that like, he'd really sort of created an identity around being anti-SJW, and that identity was going to cost him in some ways. It changed his life. And he wasn't happy about that. Like, he wanted to see if he could undo that and walk it back a little bit, but I don't know why he'd want to. I really don't know. I think
Can
it's
you imagine trying to walk this shit back?
you can't. I mean, it's like
I mean, like just the idea is like I'm gonna turn back time. You'd have to be Superman. You have to be Christopher Reeves from Superman 1 and make the world spin around on its axis. Like,
well,
there's no walking this back.
There's no walking it back, but like you're gonna arrive at the same place again, even if you try to, because the culture war is real, whether you want to admit it or face it or deal with it or not. So, if you're somebody who likes comics, you're going to encounter the same shitty people who are ruining the comics that you like, or you can just abandon comics entirely. Like, whether or not you want to come forward and face them, it exists. The culture war exists. It's going to happen no matter what. You're going to still encounter this stuff. So basically, you can kind of give in, I guess, and just be like, you know what? Maybe it's not so bad that there are comic book creators who are putting genderqueer in elementary school libraries. Maybe that's good. Maybe that's okay. Maybe there's a good, like, you can do that if you want to. You can sort of give in. But like just saying this stuff doesn't really exist and I'm not going to worry about it and it's not a concern and people who care about it are stupid is not going to fly. It just isn't going to fly. Everybody knows it's real. And there is no walking that back. As soon as you open your eyes to it, like, you can be blind to politics. It's nicer to be like a dummy who is blind to the way the world works. But once your eyes are open to it, or you take the red pill, as it were, like, there's no going back. You start to understand the way the world works and you see all of this stuff everywhere. So it's got to be like, it's a really like difficult, it's a really strange sort of path of self-deception that you want to walk down by going this way. And I mean, there's some stuff that he's saying that I agree with. Like, there are a lot of YouTubers that are just shitty, that just suck at this, and are clearly just here to make super negative videos in order to get some money. But that doesn't mean that what's happening isn't happening, because it is. And we need better commenters like me and Shane.
I'm not. Don't pull me into this. I'm walking it back.
Are you going to walk it back officially?
It back.
Who are you going to call first? If you're going to walk it back, which person are you going to call back?
I don't know.
You have to
That's
be like,
a good question. How would you go backwards in this? Like, I mean, you would have to make amends. You would have to apologize, take the knee.
Yep. You would have to go, listen, you'd have to make a big public apology to SJWs. Yeah, oh my God, it'd be so bad, dude.
That's what I was saying.
Oh my God.
Even did. I mean, I'm not gonna go into a.
You would have to join them. You would have to immediately begin viciously virtue signaling on behalf of them against your friends. Headrock says there's no walking back the Mark Wade lawsuit. No, that was a tough thing, man. When he told me that he was leaving that lawsuit behind, I got a sinking feeling. I was just like, Zach, you can't, man. You can't. That's it. If you do that, you're going to have real trouble. And he didn't care. Like, he'd already made the decision. There's probably a lot of stuff behind the scenes there that I'm still not privy to, and I don't know what happened. But I remember when he told me that, I really, like, I felt a sinking feeling in the pit of my stomach. Like, that was it for him, And I had this whole idea of like, oh yeah, we're gonna have like this whole empire, ComicsGate empire of crowdfunding. He's gonna have his publishing empire. I'm gonna have mine, and we're really gonna make a difference. And it's just like, shit, it's just gonna be me. It's not gonna be him. God damn it. Oh, so frustrating.
It did seem like you were not dependent or anything. Of course, that's not the word, but like you really were looking for an ally in this with Zach.
Well, he said something. First of all, like, a couple of things happened that will win my loyalty forever. It's like you really have to, like, first of all, like, Zach was he was telling the truth. Like, everything, his videos were making perfect sense to me.
Right.
I found them to be a useful guidance. I knew they were true. Like, I knew what he was saying was correct, and he had very good insight into the way the comic book industry was working. whether he knew it or not, he was really hitting the mark, and people were scared of him. And I knew he was right. I was experiencing what he was talking about. And again, I got called into DC's office, so to speak, over the phone with Jim Lee and Dan DiDio and a bunch of other DC execs who were demanding that I stop associating with him. And I was just like, he's right. You guys all know the things that he's saying are right. Why are you in denial about this? And they actually said to me, they said, well, he's right about a lot, but he's really upsetting people.
Yeah, that was a bad move. Like on DC, like let's not upset this group of people that are coming in and they really don't buy our shit anyways. Like let's make everybody happy. You know what occurred to me the other day, and this is kind of switching subjects from Zach, but it actually has a lot to do with this whole thing we're talking about. Is like why did Marvel and DC not just go, hey, new fans that are the community, why don't you guys just get along with the old fans? Like, why? Well, you know how, like, when they did Ultimates, like, here's a new Spider-Man and here's new continuity we're going to throw away. Why, like, with all this woke shit, why didn't they just make a woke imprint? You get what I'm saying?
It's a good question. Yeah, because that wasn't the agenda. The agenda was to change comics entirely, not to just make stuff for certain people of certain demographics. That was always a lie.
So there's that, but what if the agenda was just to piss everybody off too? Like, what if, it was outrage marketing, like before that term was even being thrown out there?
I don't know.
I started just thinking back at it today, and that's been rotting in my head all day. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, why didn't they just make a woke universe or an imprint that would be all this shit? And that way you'd have the old fans. And if there are new fans of this shit, they would be over there. And, they did it with Ultimates and they ran that shit for years and it sold, like it didn't really, they had their cake and eat it too, so to speak.
Yeah, that's just not what was going on there. Like they weren't actually trying to appease everyone. The agenda was to tear down symbols of the patriarchy, of white supremacy. Destroy those and replace them forever. It wasn't and if the comic book industry crumbled, that would be fine. The point is to tear down these statues. It's always been the statues, the symbols that these people can't coexist with. They're literally going around tearing down statues before they started doing this. Just the symbols of these, figures of the patriarchy were too much for them to live with. So of course, they had to do that with comics and everything else as well, including Indiana Jones. But it's very gay. Zach told me like back then, like I can't remember why, but first of all, I remember like when I finally like I called him like February 3rd, I think it was the day that DC said we're not going to renew your contract, and I said, yeah, man, they're not going to renew my contract. Zach went and got fucking wasted, like he felt personally responsible for me losing my job. And he came and did a live stream, and that live stream's lost to history, but he was fucking polluted. Like he was drunk. Appreciate that. I like the idea that, that affected him to some degree. It wasn't really his problem. And then at one point he said, he said, I really am only friends with like my Marine buddies, but he's like, I want you to know that I would take a bullet for you. And I was like, oh man, like that meant a lot to me. I don't have a lot of real friends. And so I was like, oh, well, Zach is going to be one of my real friends. And he just, I don't know. I tried to help him. I tried to guide him through all this stuff. And it just seems like he fucking flamed out or something. And then he started to resent me, which is hurt my feelings. I do have feelings. I think it really did hurt my feelings. So, anyway, that's where we are. I just left him alone to sort of do his thing. I don't want to hurt his whole agenda, but I do want to understand where he's coming from, because every now and then still he says things that are valuable. This is like evidence that a lot of stuff is going haywire in his brain. So, you know, his fans or his former fans are concerned enough about it that they're letting me know that I should see it.